I used to post paranormal videos on the internet for fun. I never believed any of it and only did it for the views. I faked most of my videos for clout, and I didn't bother to share the truth with any of my fans. One day, I was researching places to explore for my next video. I was getting bored of all the graveyards and haunted caves that allegedly held violent spirits of miners or a man who lost his fortune in a gun duel. I was about to log off for the day when David, one of my best friends, sent me a link to a story about a haunted carousel. My interest piqued, and I clicked on it. After reading the story, it sent chills down my spine. The story read, in the early 1900s, there was a small, sleepy little town called Fairings in Wyoming. Not many visitors cared to stop by, and the citizens never seemed to care. The mayor of Fairings was particularly rich, married to a very beautiful wife. The townsfolk never really liked them much, for they thought they were stuck up and snobbish. However, they all found that the mayor's young daughter was charming and polite. She was the light of the town, and everyone thought how such a wonderful young girl could be cursed with such horrible parents. In 1908, a traveling circus stumbled upon the town. The circus, seeing a business opportunity, set up shop and began all of their marvelous wonders of the world. Not to mention the newest attraction, the traveling carousel. The mayor's daughter wanted nothing more than to ride the elegantly painted horses. She had begged her parents to see the horses. Finally, being fed up with her constant pleas, her parents finally took her to the circus. The young girl was overjoyed by the tigers, elephants, the silly painted clowns, and the amazing trapeze artists. The end of the day soon came near, and there was only one thing left to do. The carousel. The mayor and his wife grudgingly allowed her to ride the carousel, but told her to hurry. We've spent the whole day out here with the poor. I can feel their filth rubbing off on me. The mayor grumbled. Mother, would you like to ride with me? Their young daughter asked with pleading eyes. The mother scoffed. Absolutely not. I will not lay a hand on that contraption. Hurt, the young girl turned to the man in charge of the carousel. Please, sir, may I ride? A man smiled, almost creepily at her. Certainly, find yourself a horse to ride on, and I'll have it up and running in no time. Pleased to hear this, the young girl situated herself atop of a wonderfully painted chestnut brown horse with a golden saddle. The man started the ride, and the girl giggled in glee. Her parents watched her from a distance, almost disgusted at the fact she would enjoy a poor man's activity. Yet something was wrong. Despite the delighted laughter from the young girl, the carousel seemed to spin faster and faster. Too fast. The mayor and his wife became alarmed. Even though they were cruel to their daughter, they still did care for her very much. Stop the ride. The mother screeched as her giggling daughter started to become a blur on the carousel. The man in charge smiled an evil smile. Why should I? He didn't seem to care for the little brat now, did you? I demand you stop this contraption at once. The mayor boomed. There was suddenly a scream from the young girl. It's far too fast. Oh, make this stop. The man smiled as he turned to the ride. Why, certainly. He pressed the stop button. The ride came to screeching halt. The laughter was gone. Then, oh so softly, came the soft sound of a dripping liquid. In horror, the parents looked up into the canopy of the carousel and saw the mangled body of their daughter, blood trickling down onto the beautifully painted chestnut horse with the golden saddle. The mother screamed in despair, and the father was outraged. He demanded that the circus was to be shut down permanently, and with the townsfolk behind him on the tragic death of the young girl, they left. Everything was taken except for the carousel. The years passed on. The mother died of grief, and the father was never to be seen again. To this day, the small town of Fairings still stands. The townsfolk, however, now have a story to tell. They say that the old carousel still stands to this day, and if you are brave enough to visit it at night, you can hear carousel music as a young girl giggles and laughs with joy. However, stay there too long, and she will mistake you as the man who is responsible for her death. If that is ever to happen, run and never return. I leaned back in my chair after reading this story. Out of all the stories and articles I've read about haunted places, this one truly disturbed me, and for some dumb reason, I made the decision to pay a visit to Fairings, Wyoming. Within a few days, 3 of my good friends and I made it to Fairings. We went to a local restaurant and thought we could ask around about this old carousel. As soon as we asked our waitress, her expression darkened. "I'd stay away from that place if I were you," she said. "Nothing good ever comes from that place." "Well, say that we wanted to see why everyone avoids it," I replied. I said what I said. "He'd be stupid to ignore my advice," she said curtly and turned on her heel. After paying for our meal, we headed out of the restaurant. One of my buddies, Kent, was unsure. "I don't know, guys. Maybe we should listen to these people. They said that the carousel was really haunted. Not to mention, the other waitress said we'd be cursed if we disturbed that little girl." Kent fidgeted with the cuffs of his jacket. David scoffed. "Come on, Kent. They're just trying to scare us. The paranormal isn't real. That's what you think," Kent muttered. I pulled out my video camera from my bag. "Either way, it's worth a shot to see what's up. Come on, it's just down the street from here." We trudged along the overgrown path to the carousel. The closer we got, the colder it became. I had to zip up my jacket to stop my teeth from chattering. I turned on my camera and started the video. "Hey, how's it going, my fellow spooks? Today, I am here with Kent, David, and Paul in Fairings, Wyoming. Apparently, there's a really haunted carousel here. A little girl was killed after a malfunction with the ride, and her ghost curses you if you stay for too long." I laughed. "Well, we'll see about that, huh?" I turned the camera around to the path in front of me as I caught up to Paul. I asked him what he thought of this whole ordeal. He was very quiet ever since the restaurant. "I think we shouldn't be disrespectful to her. After all, we're messing with the afterlife," Paul said seriously. I turned the camera back. That's just Paul being Paul. We're going to be fine. Look, we're almost, my friends." And I stopped. There in front of us was a broken down carousel, overgrown vines, and weeds shot through the floorboards as if nature claimed it as its own. The paint on the canopy and the horses were chipped and faded. I spotted one horse in particular, the chestnut brown one. I recollected my thoughts and zoomed in on the carousel for the camera. "Wow, that's a pretty beat up ride. I really don't like this," Kent whispered. "It feels so unwelcoming, like we're not supposed to be here." "Stop being such a scaredy cat," David snapped. "We're fine." In fact, he ran over to the carousel and stood on the rotting wooden floorboards. "I don't believe that you curse people. You're just a myth. You can't hurt us." I laughed. "Yeah, tell the ghost." Paul and Kent both flinched. Kent stepped back. "Guys, stop. You're going to cause something you can't undo. Please, the paranormal isn't even real." I smiled. "What's the ghost girl gonna do? Give us a good scare?" Suddenly, David stumbled off the carousel. "Wait, do I hear music?" I froze and listened hard. Sure enough, carousel music filled my ears. Kent and Paul turned white as they stepped back. David stumbled backwards, and I didn't move. I stood there, listening, enchanted by the music, and then I heard a little girl laughing with glee. I was terrified. I spun around, but there was only my friends. Paul yelled out, "Leave us alone, please." Silence. I was panting. I wanted to run, but my feet refused to move. My camera cut out, and then, clear as day, a little girl dressed in early 1900s clothing stood in front of me. She was covered in blood, her hair matted and tangled. She was missing an arm, yet her face was childlike and small, but her eyes were pitch black as the night. She smiled sickeningly. "What about now, Jacob?" She giggled in glee. "Do you believe in ghosts now?" I screamed. Feeling sprung back into my legs as my friends, and I booked it back to our car. We clambered inside, all of us mortified. We didn't dare to sleep that night. Kent was crying. Paul was absolutely terrified, jumping at small noises. David was talking to himself like a madman, and I felt tears running down my face. We drove all the way back to Provo, Utah. To this day, I don't know how she knew my name. I don't know if we're cursed or not. But one thing is for sure, I will never do any type of paranormal video ever again.